Hello and welcome to episode 231 of Sutton Impact Family Style. I'm Jason.
I'm Bill, and this is my favorite time of year. I've been watching the Little League World Series, and I always enjoy it. But this year it's kind of different because all 16 teams are from the U.S. So whoever won the regional and whoever finished second in the regional, they're in the Little League World Series.
Yeah.
So it kind of misses the international thing. But there's some really good talented kids, and there's some monsters. I mean, the disparity between 12-year-olds is just astounding, or 11-year-olds and 12-year-olds is astounding to me.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I have a kid that pitches for South Dakota, and you wouldn't think South Dakota would have a lot of talent, right? And he's thrown over 600 pitches, and he's given up one hit.
That's pretty impressive.
And he's 6'175", and he throws the equivalent of Major League 93.
Huh.
So that's pretty hard to hit if you're a little kid.
And then you add in the kid that's 5'1", 97 pounds.
Oh, no, you add in the kid that's 4'10",
Okay.
3 pounds.
Yeah.
Who was the leadoff hitter against this kid?
Yeah, 12 is a weird age. Everybody hasn't,
Yeah. Yeah, so it's been fun watching it, and then tonight the players will be there, and I really enjoyed that the last time with the Pirates and the Cardinals. I think were the two teams. Pirates and the Cubs were the two teams. And I really enjoyed that. I thought the players really interacted well with the kids, and the kids enjoyed it. So with Ohtani tonight, it might be really, really interesting. And I'm hoping that Mike Trout travels with him, but I don't know if he's going to be doing that or not.
Yeah, it'd be really nice if he did. I think it's good for his brand, too. I mean, I know he's already made, more money than he and his grandkids ever need to worry about.
I think he would really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because who he is.
Oh, agreed. Do you want to stick with baseball and talk your Tampa Bay Rays?
Yeah, let me talk about Tampa Bay Rays. So yesterday I went to a Rays game, and it was a Saturday afternoon game, 1:05 start. And this week the Rays had their all-time low since the pandemic of 4,700, and they had another game of 5,200 this week. Okay.
Okay.
And in this week that was lower than like six. There were six minor league teams that outdrew them. Okay, so if you talk about relegation, if it's for attendance, that'd be one thing. Then yesterday, a friend of mine, Jimmy Master Alexis from Massachusetts, came and he wanted to go to the game. So Mom and I went to the game with him. He said, we need to get tickets in advance. I go, oh, hell no, it's the Rays. I said, it's the easiest ticket in the world to get. We get there, and it's mobbed. I mean, we're in line in Head Park very far away, and I'm just incredulous because I've never seen as many people at a Rays game. And he keeps looking at me and he says, I guess we should have got a ticket. I said, I still can't believe this. Something must be up. There had to be a giveaway item or something. Something's going on.
Right.
So we're in line with a bunch of people that flew down that day from Chicago. And he said, oh, yeah, there's a lot of people from the White Sox coming down here to watch these games. And I joked with him. I said, why? Because it's safer to go to a game in Tampa Bay than it is in the south side of Chicago. And they just laughed. But he said, no, it's just, they wanted to make a trip, and this is what they did. So there's a bunch of, I would say that the crowd was probably 50% White Sox, and you had two first-place teams playing. Okay, so that's good. But then it was a Tyler Glasnow bobblehead. And that was the driver.
People love bobbleheads.
People love bobbleheads, and then the White Sox. So yesterday was the highest attended Rays game of the year. It was only 22,000, but it was the highest Rays game, and they weren't equipped to deal with it. I mean, everything was a nightmare because they're used to getting 5,000 to 10,000 people, and you don't take cash, so everything's a credit card transaction. And you can't buy tickets at the ticket window. You got to go online to get that, and you got to go to MLB at bat to buy the tickets. You got to buy them on the secondary market because it's the day of the game. It was just a nightmare. And in concession stands, the lines were ridiculous because they didn't have enough people like everybody else, and they just weren't equipped to deal with 22,000 people because they haven't had to do it before. But then there was this interview in the paper today with Tyler Glasnow. And he was saying, well, the marketing sucks for the team, and the building sucks, and the sound system sucks, and it's hard to get here. And he's laying all these things out, and I'm thinking, whoa, throw your boss under the bus.
It's not true, though.
It's not true.
It's the worst sporting event I've been to.
Come out and say it.
Yeah.
Well, like that. I mean, it's, it was powerful.
Of professional sporting events I've attended, which thanks to having you as my dad, I've attended many. It is the worst experience in all of professional sports that I've been to.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. There's no question about it.
I mean, it had, like when I went, it had very generic food. The parking is bad. The stadium is just blah. And like you said,
the interesting thing is they looked like they had some really good things yesterday. They had a grilled cheesesteak.
Oh.
But they only had the one concession stand, and we went over. We were on the opposite side of the building, so we saw it when we first came in, and we said, "We'll get that when we go to the other side." Nope, no option.
All right. Well, let's make a weird transition to another business moment, and that is of professional wrestling, which had a really big week this week. You had 2 pay-per-view events. SummerSlam, which, again, from a Delta variant part, was very scary watching, thousands of people all crammed in screaming out loud. But it was very successful. They brought back John Cena. They brought back Bill Goldberg, and Brock Lesnar made an appearance. And then in AEW, which is the counter that has been doing a really good job becoming a competitor to WWE, which always is good to have competitors, they brought back CM Punk to screams and memes and everything else after 7 years apart from leaving the WWE. But business-wise, the last 2 weeks, the best movies in the country have starred The Rock and John Cena, 2 former WWE superstars. Which,
yeah, that is interesting.
I mean, people love, they both look like real-life superheroes, and obviously The Rock was the star of a Disney cruise movie. And, from WWE's standpoint, you couldn't ask for anything better. But I would say the one mistake I think they're making as a company right now, and, only time will tell, is obviously if you're Vince McMahon and you're the chairman of the board and you run wrestling or you're wrestling, you would love to have all John Cena's and all The Rocks, right? That would be your ideal.
Yeah.
Crossover superstars. And it seems like they used to have a developmental league where they took a lot of indie wrestlers and people that are I think like with TNT, when you get that together with the Charles Barkley, Kenny Smith, or it's that kind of chemistry, it just happens because those are the guys that come up and you get lucky on some level,
Yeah.
And it's hard to manufacture that. And The Rock is, a third generation wrestler whose grandparents wrestled. He's from a giant wrestling family. He still has like 8, family members in WWE. Former football player, slowly came up through wrestling, became a wrestling superstar, and then transitioned. And Cena was just, a weird white rapper in jorts that slowly but surely became like the little kid champion, and people, just responded. And again, they both have, incredible qualities and superstar qualities, but it sounds like what the WWE is trying to do now is almost manufacture those people. And I'm not sure how realistic that is to do.
Yeah, they got to be organic. You got to have credibility. I mean, Rock has really impressed me because he can be in something racy like Ballers and then do a Disney movie.
Yeah.
Not too many people can do that. And there's not too many people Disney would let do that.
No. And I mean, he's, incredibly popular on Instagram and Facebook and all the social media. And, but like I said, he came up organically as a third generation wrestler. And, just like they had with Hulk Hogan. And again, I understand why you want that, and it's great to push that. Sasha Banks on the women's side is, messed with Disney and been in Star Wars and things like that. And I just think it's tough to we're going to only find these 6'4" guys and try to turn them into Rocks and Cenas when I think it's obviously not luck, it's hard work and, being born with the right attributes and seizing the moments when they present themselves. But I think it's tough to just create that.
Yeah, no question.
And then...
That's a good point.
And then my biggest bummer of the week is the KD Draymond interview. And if you didn't know, KD and Draymond famously had the big blow up in KD's last season there, where, Draymond called KD a bitch and said, "We won championships before you got here, we'll win championships when you leave." And, whether or not KD was going to come back for another year was a whole other story. Because it seemed like a lot of people thought he already had his mind on being out the door anyway because he wasn't going to be Steph.
Yeah.
Like, Golden State was Steph's team, and it was never going to be his team no matter how good he was. But they went on, and they threw... And again, I'm not a big fan of the Warriors brass. I feel like they've benefited quite a bit from the people that were there before them, including, obviously Jerry West helping them. because this is a management team that before Jerry West got there was going to trade away Klay Thompson.
Right.
And, Steph Curry fell down the draft board, so they picked him. It wasn't like they moved up in the draft or they reached for a guy. Like, he went where he was supposed to go. And they've sort of, gotten to the point where they think that they've, created basketball on some level. But Dre and Clay have said that it wasn't either of their faults, that it was management and Steve Kerr's fault that the fight didn't, But at the same time, they said it should have just been the two of us in a room. But they, and it's like, well, why wasn't it just the two of you in a room?
Yeah, why wasn't it?
It's the two of you in a room right now, blaming other people. And, they thought, well, the suspension and all and it's like, well, because I guess what they did is they held, and they were like, well, they should have done with Scotty. And the team all sat down and talked to him. And it's like, yeah, you're the team.
Yeah.
You guys could have done that. And they were like, well, they shouldn't have made us stay on a plane and try to get Draymond to talk to me. And it's like, you just said what needed to happen was you two in a room alone. But it, just like the players should be, and like we talked about offline, it's, it's two NBA players interviewing each other, being able to, dictate where the story goes and make sure that no hard questions are asked.
Right.
And no hard questions have to be answered.
And when you're standing across from each other and they're filming you, are you going to call the other guy out or are you going to blame somebody else?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's guys.
It's easy when you're in the room, even this much time elapsed, to not want to offend the other person and blame somebody else for the fact that it didn't get worked out.
Oh, yeah. And they are coming off winning gold together in the Olympics. And, KD's happy where he's at. And Draymond is always going to stir the pot and throw people under the bus because that's Draymond Green. But, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know we're going to talk our favorite sport. And we'll start with the NFC South, where we both have a team where we currently live.
Yes.
And I will start. And sadly, I think as the person that lives in this particular area, I do think that the Saints are going to come in last place in this division.
Whoa.
I think you lost Drew Brees. Michael Thomas is going to be missing at least part of the season. And he seems to be very unhappy being down here. I don't think Taysom Hill or Jameis Winston is, the answer at quarterback, and playing two quarterbacks in the NFL has never seemed to work, and it seems like that's sort of what Sean Payton wants to do. And I just think they're due for, I think they're headed in the wrong direction currently. And it's not to say they can't quickly turn it around and next year be a contender, but I think the loss of Breeze mixed with the Michael Thomas thing on offense, some departures on defense, some guys not developing on defense, and I just think that team's doomed for the year.
Wow, well, you made a good case. I mean, I'm kind of rethinking where I was thinking. I was thinking they were going to finish second.
Okay, I mean it's good. We've been agreeing too much so far.
You've made a point here that's forcing me to question that. So I don't know. I mean, I'm still thinking there's a lot of quality athletes on the team. Good coaching staff. You have good continuity. But your point is, it is James Winston.
Or Taysom Hill.
Last time he was a starting quarterback, he led the league in turnovers.
He did. I mean, he's obviously very capable. That same year he led the league in turnovers, he also threw for 5,000 yards and 35 touchdowns.
Yeah, no, I definitely think he's improved since then.
Yeah.
I think being around Breeze and being in the same system, he's improved.
Well, who did you initially have in last place here?
Well, to me, it's absolutely the Texans.
Oh no, but this is the NFC, and this is New Orleans, Carolina, Atlanta, and Tampa Bay.
Sorry, so this is the Colts.
No, the Carolina. I assume Carolina or Atlanta you had there, right?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. You really upset my whole apple cart here. I'm just you made so much sense in an argument. Atlanta's improved, so I don't see them being in the bottom. Carolina arguably has improved.
I think so, and I like the coach. I like the direction that franchise is heading. I actually have them coming in third, and
that's right. Well, I'm flip flopping now, and I'm gonna agree with you on third for Carolina. I like the quarterback situation.
Yeah.
I really like the draft. I like what he's building. I like what he's going to do. But I'm putting him third more because of the coach than the quality of the team. I just think the guys are better.
Yeah. Like I said, I think they've got a really nice coach down there. You watch the way they used Robbie Anderson, a wide receiver who was a former Jet. And when you watch him play for the Jets, where he did have a 1,000-yard season despite playing for the Jets, he was basically just a run the go route, and we'll chuck it up to you, and hopefully you beat the other guy down the field and catch it. Whereas last year they were using him on inside routes, medium routes, screens. And he's a very talented player with a lot of speed. Christian McCaffrey is back.
Chris McCaffrey's back, and they have Chuba Hubbard, who I think they got for a steal.
Yeah, and like I said, I love their running backs. Their offensive line is very solid. And much like with Robbie Anderson, they do have a former Jet quarterback, the 23-year-old Sam Darnold, who has been less than impressive over the course of his career. But he played for maybe the worst organization or worst coach in football for the last 2 or 3 years. And, I think in a new situation, he's still talented. And I think he's going to be asked to play the kind of game that he can play. And again, sometimes organizational stability, like I said, I think they have a little bit more than the Saints do currently. That's why I'm putting them ahead of the Saints. But
okay. No, I agree with you here. But I'm still going to keep my Saints. I'm still going to keep Carolina last, and I'm going to keep the Saints third. I'm going to drop them from second. I'm going to go with Atlanta second.
Yeah.
Matt Ryan is still can play. He's got great. I think Pitts was a great draft pick for them. Great fit.
Calvin Ridley has been destroying people for 2 seasons.
So they've got great receivers.
Yeah, and I know they lost Julio Jones, but I think Pitts sort of makes up for you still can't push all your coverage towards Ridley, because I think Pitts is going to be one of those rookie tight ends that he's fast and big enough that you're going to have to account for him whenever you play. And I don't think it's
because you really have a wide receiver lining up at the tight end spot. You really don't have a tight end,
right? But with
he's not going to be doing a lot of blocking.
No, and he's a nightmare matchup for 99% of the wide receivers, and a nightmare matchup for 95% of the defensive backs in the league. And you scheme him right.
It's a great pick for them. I think Ryan will be rejuvenated with this. I think he'll be happy. I think that more of an emphasis on defense now. We'll see what the defense does.
And again, I don't see any of the teams we've talked about so far competing for a Super Bowl, let alone probably even a playoff spot. I mean, I think
there's one team making the playoffs out of this division.
Yes,
as opposed to last year.
And that's the team that is from where you were currently living.
Yes, there's no question. They're not going to lose 3 or 4 games. They're going to be 4. Worst case, I think they're 13-4.
Yeah, I mean,
best case, they could be 17-0.
I don't put it past them. I mean, you have Tom Brady at quarterback, and he's like Jason or Michael Myers or any of these people where you just can't keep him down, and until he shows signs that he's falling off flat like Manning did and some other world quarterbacks, like I just have to assume that avocado ice cream and not eating tomatoes makes you a Superman. And I don't know what else he does, but whatever he's doing, it's working.
And he does fuel himself with doubters.
Yeah.
And I mean, he loves to have doubters, and he loves to prove them wrong. And if you tell him that you can't go undefeated with this team, that's enough motivation for him. I think he's with the right coach. I think he's with the right team. Right teammates. The defense is tremendous on that team. You got great wide receivers, and he's got a year in the system under his belt. And I just think he's going to be unbelievable this year, unless it gets hurt.
And they brought back all 22 starters, which is shocking. Most of the backups. They added depth. Antonio Brown, who tore it up for the last third of the season, is now in there full time, assuming he doesn't get thrown out again for beating somebody up in practice like he did recently. Chris Godwin is a year removed from the hand surgery, where he still had an awesome year last year. You still got Mike Evans. You got Scotty, whatever his name is, little white guy. Just talent across the board and depth, which you rarely see,
But where you don't have depth is the backup quarterback.
No, you don't. You have Kyle Trask from Florida, a couple,
And Kyle Trask and what, Matt Barkley?
I think those are the two. But I think,
Yeah.
how many NFL teams can really put their backup in and expect to do a lot? I mean, it's pretty much nobody. So,
But how many teams drop this far from the starter to the backup? I mean, it's a huge drop.
it is. It definitely is.
I mean, it's so. My caveat is they'll win. They'll win going away, unless he gets hurt. If he gets hurt, that opens the door for Atlanta.
It is. But one thing we know about Tom Brady is, obviously when you were in Massachusetts teaching, I went to college as my undergrad there. Like, it's easy to make fun of him for his turtle shelling and, him shielding himself from hits, but it keeps him healthy. And, an incompletion on this down or, going down easy on a sack, instead of trying to fight through it, it's just kind of smart football. I mean, let alone if you're 44, but for any quarterback, And he gets the ball out quick. And like I said, I think, offensively, I think they're going to be better. And you also have Gronk, now a full year out of retirement and a full year in the system. And they got that rookie tight end, O.J. Howard, coming back. Like, this team is...
No, they're loaded. There's no question.
They're loaded. And I think, like you said, if you have Tom Brady as your quarterback, I think you're always motivated.
Yeah, I mean, they will win this division going away if he's healthy, and they're in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see any impediments in the NFC to stop them from a second trip to the Super Bowl. None.
No. Like you said, injuries or, the rejuvenation of Randall Cobb in Green Bay becoming a stud receiver and who other, I know he's talking about trying to bring back Clay Matthews and rebuild a team from a decade ago. But, yeah, you look around and they're my pick to win the Super Bowl and to be in the Super Bowl. Because, and again, they can do the magic thing. They can generate pass rush with 4 players, which is all you can ever hope to do.
Right.
And, that solid offensive line, good running game, and they're, like I said, just depth across the board, which is just so rare that, you win the Super Bowl. And not only do you bring back all 22 of your starters, you bring back most of your primary backups with like Ronald Jones and Fournette. You get some guys further into the system, and then you add some nice draft picks, and it's just like, wow. I don't even know what to say.
Yeah, I mean, this was a runaway.
Very sad, but it is.
It's the least. It may be the least competitive division in the NFL this year, as compared to last year when it was one of the most competitive divisions in the NFL.
Agreed. And like I said, I like where a lot of those teams are heading, but I just don't think they're close to being there yet.
No. Well, you really shook me up at that Saints in last place. I forgot all my teams. I forgot everything. I was like, whoa. From the playoffs to last place. But you make a case. I mean, who knows what the quarterback situation is going to be?
Yeah.
Who knows where it's going to go? And, it's a big loss when Drew Brees is not only the quarterback, he was the leader. So you lose a leader. And who's stepping up? Who's the new leader? Where's this going?
And like I said, Michael Thomas is probably their best offensive player, either him or Kamara. And now Kamara doesn't have Michael Thomas, taking double teams away on the outside. So you can, stack the line against Kamara. And, you hope it doesn't happen, but Kamara's also in that rare, he's had so many touches and he's a certain age for running back. It's obviously not a good spot, especially for a smaller back, too.
Well, great home field advantage, though.
They do.
They're the best. Maybe that and Green Bay are the two best in the NFL. So we'll see.
Although I'm not sure if this is financially rated or COVID related, the Delta variant, but, obviously I live down here and I've been here for a few years, so I have a lot of, social media people, and I've never seen this many I've never actually seen any Saints tickets being advertised for sale, but people are trying to sell their season tickets already. And I know 3 or 4 people in the business that this is that all of a sudden Saints season tickets opened up for them, where they've been on a waiting list for like 15 years and they're still not sure if they want them. So, I'm sure that some of that is financial, but like you usually don't see like you can buy any of my Saints tickets all year.
Well, I mean, when you lose if Drew Brees was there and this team's there, they could compete to win the division.
Yeah. But like I said, it's so rare because you would think just people wanting to get back, but like I said, people suffered a lot financially in the last 2 years, and then obviously, the Delta variant still being out there, that maybe people aren't, they'd rather, sell their tickets. But like I said, I know at least 3 people that have been on a waiting list for a decade now have all been offered season tickets officially through the Saints. And then, I've said 5 or 6 people on my feed have been trying to sell their season tickets for just this year. So.
It's sad. It's such a good market.
It is. And like we've talked about before, where the Pelicans don't seem to generate much buzz down here, like the Saints are such a part of the community. They're ingrained. They're King Cake, they're Mardi Gras, they're the Saint. Like, it's just all part of the world down here. So,
well, hopefully these people that are selling them, they're going to sell to people who have been waiting and just are anxious and want to be part of the next you're investing in when the team gets good again. So you're get on board now. So hopefully that happens for them.
And again, I do work in, the TV industry, and so the 5 people I know that are trying to sell away, they're not trying to sell they're trying to sell this year's season tickets. And like I said, it's been a really rough 2 years for people in film and theater. So yeah. I'm sure that, saving a little bit, trying to recoup some of that money that is probably part of it. Because again, things are being delayed again, and people are probably a little bit nervous about what's happening moving forward. So maybe, this is an expense that if they can sell the seats this year, then hopefully they're back next year screaming and wearing their black and gold. Would you want to hop to entertainment?
My attention this week, switching away from football.
Okay.
For a minute, was LeBron not being voted one of the 100 best players in the league by the other players.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
I did.
And I saw his tweet afterwards with the fuel emoji.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't need to be fueled, but now I've got some more fuel. I don't see how he's not one of the 100. I don't care if he's 50 years old. He's still one of the 100 best players in the NBA right now.
Yeah. I think you could be a decade from now, and I'm not sure I wouldn't say he's at least like 99. He has an incredible basketball IQ, and much like Tom Brady, he doesn't seem to age or get hurt somehow. And, like I said, obviously we are big Russ supporters here, and I just want the anti-Russ people to eat a lot of crow this year. That's why I'm clearly, going against lots of things. Like when I rooted for Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, now I'm all of a sudden rooting for LeBron and the Lakers, which is a weird spot to be in. But
big switch for us.
Big switch for us, but yeah.
I don't think I've ever rooted for the Lakers once in my life.
No. I was a big Kobe Bryant fan as a kid, so that's, slightly different, but it's weird. It's very, very weird. But I do think LeBron has alienated himself from a lot of players in the league on personal levels. It seems like.
Okay.
That he's become, I think when you read between the lines of certain players' quotes, I think they feel, like when he's speaking at, like he has nothing to say about the play-in game until his team's about to be in the play-in game, and then he's against the play-in game. And, when he's going on and saying the championships he's won are the hardest in the NBA, and that the other people's have been easier than his championships. Like, I think he's, I don't know what that level of celebrity and success is, but I think sometimes you start rewriting your narratives to make it sound, and I don't think that's appreciated amongst other NBA players.
It's funny, the Major League players I got the Little League World Series on the background, so Major League players just arrived.
Mm-hmm.
And like with the Little Leaguers, they ask you, they do little spots, who's your favorite actor, who's your favorite food?
Yeah.
They're doing that with the Major League players this year.
Oh, nice.
So one player said his favorite actor was Adam Sandler, and I said, man, that fits right in with all the Little League kids.
It does. Yeah, because Adam Sandler's one of those ones that, like, when you're younger, granted, you and I just laughed our butts off at a recent Adam Sandler movie, which is bizarre, but he makes movies for kids and young people. So it's like once you get over the age of like 14 or 15, like things you thought were hilarious, all of a sudden you're like, well, that's,
Yeah.
But kids still, UB Halloween or whatever he puts out on Netflix, like kids adore those movies. The Growing Up series, like they just do really well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I still think, Happy Gilmore is obviously, all-time
Happy
sports.
Gilmore's a classic, as is Billy Madison.
As is Billy Madison. Those are two, comedy classics, and obviously one of the all-time sports comedy classics. So,
yep.
Yeah. But just to finish on LeBron, like I said, I think, and then he's made it clear that he feels like he should have, it seems like sometimes he's saying he should have a say, not necessarily that he should say on the players' behalves. So I think he sort of pushed himself to a different spot.
Yeah, yeah. And, you always hate the guy on top, but still to say he's not one of the 100 best players.
No, it's pretty
I mean,
ridiculous.
it's one thing to say if you're not one of the 100 most liked players, but
Yeah.
not one of the 100 best players.
I mean, again, if you were like, you have, I don't think he makes it out of the top 5 if you're picking teams and it's like, if this guy wins the championship this year, you get $1 million. I mean,
No, absolutely not.
I could see people technically, based on Brooklyn Nets, like, well, when we do our NBA preview, I mean, they've done so well. And you even look at like Cam Thomas in Summer League looks like a tremendous, somebody that might be able to help them in the regular season. And you're like, a hungry Harden, a hungry Kyrie, and KD. I mean, that's a monster lineup. And if they stay healthy, I could see people wanting to bet on them. But I mean, right next to that would be LeBron, AD, and Russ, and whatever else the Lakers have put together. So it's.
Well, I will be seeing the Nets in person on December 13th in Brooklyn.
Nice.
I'll see the Nets play the Raptors, I believe.
Okay. Oh, I have a TV apology to make. I know I put the caveat that I only seen one episode of that British show that I can't remember the name of. It's terrible, and I'm sorry that I even brought it up on the show.
Okay.
Because, like I said, it felt like it was going to be a nice, fun, like, whodunit, but it turned into one of those shows where it had it's a little corny, but it had like a pilot that was pretty exciting, and then it didn't know if it was a comedy or a drama. It didn't know if it was a mystery show or people whining all the time. It got really bad. So if anybody watched any of that based on my recommendation, I just apologize for that.
Hey, do you have the question we got this week?
I do. Let me just pull it up real quick. And I would say, if you want to see a terrible superstar accent, watch our friend Nicole Kidman attempt to do a Russian accent in Nine Strangers, because it's not great.
Okay.
It's really not great.
I'm going to pass on that one.
Okay, so our questions were, what is your view on eBay and the FBI going after sports card consignment company PWCC for fraud?
Well, I love the fact that eBay is playing an active role in this, because eBay's credibility is based upon, being a reliable purchasing option for people. And if they don't go after somebody for fraud, I think it's a huge, huge, huge mistake.
Oh yeah.
If the consumers have to question it, it's not a good thing. And so, you have to be out there as a crusader. So yeah, I like the fact they're going after them. I think my biggest trading card moment of the week, though, for our listener that sent that in, is I tweeted out, I thought a part of my youth died this week when Topps lost their contract with Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
And Fanatics is going to take it over. And that was a real sad moment for me, because I grew up with Topps. Now, the speculation is, not only does this end Topps' agreement, but does this end a trading card being in bubble gum and in a wrapper, and now it's all going to become electronic? They're going to all be NFTs. There's a lot of speculation that that's what Fanatics is going to do. They're going to, they're all going to be NFTs, NFT trading cards. That's all it's going to be.
I think it's going to be difficult to do, because as someone that is, I guess, Dan and I are obviously big gamers. And while I've gone all digital the last 4 or 5 years, where I just download all my games digital. We've got to the point where they transfer over system to system. And I know technically people work, but there's a lot of people that worry that technically you own the license to a digital game.
Right.
And if you lose that license, it's gone forever. Or if something happens to the company, it's gone forever. Whereas if I own the disc, and every game still makes a disc, then I have access to that game on some level for the rest of my life.
Right.
And I think, we talked earlier, like I've been, I messed around with NBA Top Shot. And I still own, I think, 30 NFTs of the NBA players. But I've kind of soured and lost interest a little bit too. And I'm not saying owning the physical cards, but it does feel like if you have something to display. And again, we talked about, they have those movable picture frames where you can watch pictures of your family on vacation, scroll around the cube, which is very cool. And obviously, you could release an NFT for the NBA where you're watching your cards. You have it on your desk at work, and you're seeing your LeBron James, then your Russell Westbrook, then your Anthony Davis. And I know I'm purposely picking Lakers, but and that would be kind of cool. But again, you still don't have. I mean, I think there's something like about physically owning said cards, and I'm not sure if the youth are changing on that, but I still feel like there's enough contingent that there'll be some pushback at the very least.
Yeah, I think so too. But the point is, Fanatics, his way of doing things is cutting costs.
Oh yeah.
And so if there's no printing cost, there's no hard cost, and it's an NFT, that's interesting. We'll have to see. We'll see what happens. But shout out to Topps for creating so much enjoyment for so many people over the years. I commiserate the fact that they're out of the business, and I'm sad about it.
And also moving forward with the NFT thing, are you ever going to, be at your grandmother's house and she gives you your dad's baseball cards as a kid, or you're at a garage sale walking through a neighborhood and you find, I don't know, an Alex Rodriguez rookie that they're selling for a quarter.
In that store. Remember that store in Oklahoma City? You still love going to that store.
Yeah.
And if it's all NFTs, there's no store.
There's no store. And there's no, we found it, or it was passed down, or they found, a Jackie Robinson in mint condition in a safe. Like, it's just, every card is graded 100, I guess, because it's all digital. And, and also digital, I mean, presumably the other thing that makes cards rare is, growing up in Pittsburgh, everybody owned Barry Bonds rookie cards, but, some people leave them in the garage and they get moldy, they get lost, they get shoved in a box, and, so all of a sudden, the rarity of the card and what makes that card great is that so many have disappeared out of circulation, and you can't do that with an NFT, presumably.
Right.
So how does the value of an NFT really grow up in the same way that a rare card, it can't be rare anymore? Well, I mean, obviously you make less of it, but I mean, it seems problematic on some level.
Yeah. Well, let's see where it goes. Did we have another question, or is that our question?
He also commented that he is not a fan of the taunting rules either, and that was Sean, who's been a really cool member of our community. We really like the engagement, so, please keep it up, Sean.
Thanks for taking the time, Sean.
Yeah.
Sean, I'd like to hear back from you if you think the trading card things are going to be NFTs or not, and how you feel about Topps leaving the business and Fanatics entering the business.
Yeah. Quite clear. Well, I know you've got to get on a plane. Do you have time for your Steeler Minute, or you just want to roll out and talk about it?
Yeah, let's do our Steeler Minute.
Okay, so this is going to be Steeler Minute for the rest of the podcast, because I know not everybody's a Steeler fan that listens, but we had a nice game last night, so we're very excited.
Had a really good game. Roethlisberger looked good. Mason Rudolph looked good. Najee Harris looked great. The defense looked good till the fourth quarter, and it really wasn't that close. His final score was 26-20, but they scored 2 touchdowns in the last 4 minutes in the scrub time. So you really can't assess anything. The pass rush was great. Special teams was great. I had no criticism of the Steelers last night for one of the rare times in the last 3 years.
And if you're a Steeler fan, you knew that they were coming into a season with a team that wasn't good enough to compete. And you're looking at a first-round pick who looks to be a huge upgrade at running back. Anthony McFarland, who played for this coach, in college, looks like he's going to be able to contribute. Kendrick Green, obviously Pat Freemuth, or I can never say his last name.
Freemuth, yeah, he looks really good.
Looks really good. He's a tight end that can catch the ball. Big athletic kid. He's going to be a threat in the red zone. And then Kendrick Green is, I think he's at his ups and downs, but it looks like he's going to slot in at center. So if you're looking, and Dan Moore Jr. has looked great at tackle. So your top 4 picks all look like they're going to be guys that can contribute this year. And then you add in
I like the Trey Norwood and the punter, 7th round picks. And then I think they both make the team.
And you add in a free agent signing
I did watch Loudermilk.
Yeah.
And he did not look good.
No. But I think you got to keep him in the road, because I don't think you can put him on the practice squad. But you gave up a 4th round pick to get him, so they must see something in him. And then you add in, Ingram is a free agent, and it looks like they've improved for the most part. I mean, obviously losing Mike Hilton and Steve Nelson as part of your starting defensive backfield hurts, but Highsmith looked like he's picked up his game. Hopefully the guy they traded from the Jaguars fills in that spot next to Devin Bush at linebacker, and
I'm still intrigued that Steven Nelson is still out there, right?
Yeah.
That's very intriguing to me.
Yeah, it is. Especially with so many teams I've heard have defensive backfield problems. So
So maybe it's more than I looked at the time as a salary cap issue. Maybe it's more than a salary cap issue.
I'm thinking it must be. Now I don't know if there's some, hopefully it's, not a health issue or a legal issue, but those are the two things your mind immediately goes to is to, why is a guy that was a highly sought after free agent when the Steelers signed him, played for the best defense in football for 2 years, and now all of a sudden he's out of the league, under 30?
Yeah.
It doesn't make a ton of sense, but...
No, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. All right, well, you got to get on a plane, and we'll get on with our Sunday.
And
Today,
I'm going to watch the Major League Little League World Series game. Major Leaguers played their game tonight at the Little League World Series. And I encourage everybody to watch and support that. And which conference we're going to do next week?
we're doing the AFC South.
All right.
And I will also keep people informed. I'm not going to have a lot of food moments. My partner and I have decided that we're going to we're having our final purge day today where we can eat whatever we want. And we're going to go sugar-free, high vegetable for the next 30 days with no cheat days to try and get ourselves back on track. So we will see how that goes.
All right, food moments will be up to me then.
Yeah. But today is purge day, so we've been a little ridiculous. And I think the nice thing about doing like a purge couple of days before you go on a hardcore diet is usually you almost make yourself so sick that you don't even want to see sugar or bad food for a couple of days. So it's like a nice jump start.
So what are you purging on today, Jay?
Well, we made brownies for breakfast. Let's just say that.
And the day is young.
And the day is young. Yeah. We haven't not picked out our purge meal. Because we're trying to think of something that they're, I assume it's going to be pizza, but you never know,
Oh, and for all you soccer fans out there, I will be attending the Seattle-Portland game next weekend in Seattle.
Nice.
And I've been promised it's going to be an amazing, amazing, amazing experience. So I will keep an open mind and let you know what I thought about it.
All right. So until next week. And again, if you comment, we'll make sure we reach you on the pod and we'll answer your questions and comments. We really appreciate it. And, any reviews or Patreon support is greatly appreciated.